Hello, friends, and happy Wednesday. Have you ever found yourself feeling overwhelmed or overly critical during the holiday season? Today, we are going to explore practical strategies to cultivate self compassion, helping you enjoy a more peaceful and fulfilling holiday season. I just love that music. So, the topic today is embracing self compassion, navigating the holiday season with kindness and mindfulness, which we can all use. The holidays are a time of, are supposed to be, should be a time of joy and family, yet, for so many people, they bring stress and self criticism. So remember that an act of self compassion each day keeps the holiday blues away. I'm Sandy Bartlett. For those that don't know me, I'm your self discovery coach, and today I want to share the importance of self compassion, especially during this emotionally charged season. And I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm actually streaming this in 3 different places, which I've not ever done before. So um, I'm streaming in my group, which is Journey to Self-Discovery Empowering Women. I'm streaming in the Get on Camera group, which I'm a group expert in. And I've got this streaming to my YouTube channel. I had some people who don't do social media and wanted to be able to share this topic with friends and family members. So hopefully this all works. So how do you define self-compassion and its components? Feel free to put your comments in the chat or in the comment section. I will go back. I'll just tell you right up front. I'll go back afterward and respond to comments, but trying to manage all the pieces. I do go live using StreamYard. So if you are not familiar with that, there is, at least on Facebook, there's a button you can push in the description to give permission so that I can see who the comments are while I'm going live. But if you look up the definition of self-compassion, there's probably multiple ones, just like for anything. The one that I looked up and found was, it was defined as a concept in psychology, actually, that involves treating yourself with kindness, understanding, and support, particularly in times of difficulty or failure. And since I coach women, I tend to address my remarks mostly towards women, but we as women have a tendency to be really hard on ourselves. So self-compassion is about recognizing the suffering, the failure, and the imperfections as it's just part of our shared human experience. We all have it. And yet we think we're the only one that is dealing with it or that faces it. Dr. Kristen Neff, who is a leading researcher in this field, has identified 3 key concepts or components of self-compassion. And they involve being gentle and understanding with yourself rather than harshly critical or judgmental. It means granting yourself the same kindness and care that you would offer to a good friend. Treat yourself as your own friend. It's recognizing that suffering and personal inadequacy are just part, like I said, part of that shared human experience. And it's something that we all go through rather than something that, well, it's only happening to me. It helps alleviate the feeling of isolation that often accompanies pain and failure. And Mindfulness, which is one of the concepts she identified in the context of self compassion, involves a balanced approach to negative emotions. And I'm actually going to give you some examples as we go through this presentation today. It means being aware of your painful feelings in a clear and balanced manner so that you don't ignore it nor exaggerate your own personal suffering. And just to be clear, we don't want to confuse it with self pity or self indulgence or even self esteem, because they are all different. While self pity tends to emphasize the more egocentric feelings of separation from others, and it exaggerates the extent of personal suffering. Self compassion sees our own experience as part of that larger human experience, that we're all in this together. Self indulgence often can lead to ignoring long term health and well being for short term pleasures, where self compassion focuses on health and well being with kindness. And so then self esteem, on the other hand, often relates to how we see ourselves in comparison to other people, while self compassion is a kind attitude towards ourselves, irrespective of our relationship to others. So, have you ever noticed how hard you are on yourself during the holidays? And maybe you're hard on yourself year round, but particularly during the holidays. Why is it particularly relevant during the holidays? There's so much added pressure and stressors during the holidays, and we, particularly as women, we have a tendency, we feel like we have to do it all. And we're the ones taking care of everything. And it doesn't have to be that way. And that's one of the things I do is I coach women on speaking up and using their voice and having those conversations with people to partner with family members and spouses and all that, to be in this together, that it doesn't have to be one person does everything. And trust me, I used to be that way. I, had to have everything. I was doing everything. And it's a lot. So, what are holiday stressors that affect you the most? They can be things, and I mentioned a couple of them, but they can be, family dynamics. I can recall when, and I think probably a lot of people can relate, when my daughter was little, you go and, we worked it out that on Christmas Eve, my husband at the time, his family always celebrated Christmas Eve, did all their thing, and my family was Christmas morning. So that tended to make it a little bit easier. But yet we were the ones that were packing everything up and packing up the kid and all their stuff and, taking it to go wherever we needed to go, rather than having everybody, come to our house. And trust me, it can be done, but family dynamics can also be a challenge when you have family members that don't speak to one another, or that don't get along, or that, something happens. So it's a big one, family dynamics. Another stressor is financial strain. Maybe you want to have a great Christmas, and we all want to have a great Christmas, but finances just aren't there. So maybe it's having conversations in advance about, well, what is Christmas going to look like this year? And those family dynamics can come into play with that as well, because I've talked to more and more of my friends. It seems like, they're going in the route of, let's just draw a name so everybody has one gift to open. And that can be hard on the kids sometimes. I know friends that that's what the adults do, and everybody buys for the kids. And so, it's finding a way to manage it all, but that starts with having conversations and not putting that stress on yourself or on others. A lot of people have trouble with the holidays because it's just a lonely time. Maybe they recently lost loved ones or they're by themselves. I mean, I've been there. Was single for a long, long time and I didn't have any family that lived nearby. So my friends were great about, including me. But I also had the option that if I didn't want to go, I could just stay home. But again, it's finding, what works for you. Busy schedules. That can be, there's all kinds, there's all the holiday parties. There's, if you're working outside the home, there's the work stuff. There's kid programs while they're still in school. There's all those things, traveling, to family members' homes, and that can add stress. So it's finding ways to, in advance, deal with those particular items and those topics so that you going into it, you have an idea of what that's going to look like. Travel. I mean, my husband and I watch the news, and every holiday, particularly Christmas and Thanksgiving, they talk about the weather and the canceled flights, and people are upset. And yet people still travel every year because they want to be with their family. I get that. But it's part of the stress that adds to it because of crowds. And I think it was over Thanksgiving, at least on our news, they were saying it was going to be one of the most travel holidays in history, practically, because people are getting back to normal. COVID's over, and it was higher levels than even pre-pandemic, which causes stress because people get cranky and they they think the world revolves around them, and it just creates, we got to get there. And so it's being mindful, and I'm going to talk about mindfulness in a little bit. But there's also disruptions to our routines because there's more parties, there's a lot more goodies, there's a lot more food and everything. So there can be disruptions to our healthy diet, to our exercise routine. There's disruptions to our self-care. I'm going to tell you right now, it's giving yourself the grace that you don't have to be perfect. Having just released 50 pounds and still walking that healthy journey and still working on losing some more. But I'm not going to stress about the holidays. I mean, I'm making healthier choices. Those are some of the techniques or skills or whatever you want to call it, habits that I've learned, that I'm still making healthier choices. But if I have so now, like, maybe I'll just have a bite of something because I just wanted the taste. We went out to dinner last night and had Mexican food, which we hadn't gone out to a Mexican restaurant for quite some time. And I had actually just a bowl of chicken tortilla soup and taco with chicken in it. My husband had, the whole thing. And I took a bite of his rice, and he's like, well, do you want me to put some on your plate? I said, no, I just wanted a bite. I just wanted to taste it. And that's okay. That's all for me. That was all I needed. But it's also knowing, for me anyway, but it's knowing what your limitations are. But if you go beyond that, give yourself some grace. It's one day, it's one meal. The next meal is a new start. It's a new time. It can be, starting again. Excuse me. Having, eating that one thing isn't going to put all that weight back on. It's recognizing it, not beating myself up about it, but recognizing it. And okay, the next meal I make those better choices. Self-compassion can involve practices like mindfulness, positive self-talk, that's a biggie, and recognizing your own emotional state without judgment, recognizing it for what it is. It's a powerful tool, self-compassion, for emotional resilience, allowing you to navigate difficult emotions, and situations with greater ease and comfort. So, what are some mindfulness techniques that you can use? So I've got a list. I've got 4 that I'm going to share with you today. 4, and you don't have to do them all. Just pick one, or maybe you have one that you like, that you do, that works for you. That's great. Share it in the comments because you never know who you might be helping somebody else. So, one, when you're starting to feel that stress, first of all, it's recognizing it. And so that whole mindfulness thing is doing some deep breathing. And you can Google all kinds of deep breathing. The one I like to do is that you can do anywhere. Just take a deep breath in. It's feeling the air come in through your nose and then holding it for a couple seconds and then sighing it out. So you feel the coolness of the air as it comes in and the warmth as it goes out. So just deep breathing. It's just stopping, recognizing that you're stressed, stopping, taking a deep breath. It's changing your state. So deep breathing can be one. Another one for breathing is the 4-4-4 technique, or 4-4-3, whatever numbers you want to use. There's a variety of ones out there, but it's breathing in through your nose to the count of 4, holding for a count of 4, and then breathing out. I think it's 4-4-5, and then breathing out your mouth to a count of 5. So that is something that can help. It calms your nervous system. Another mindfulness technique, number 2, is gratitude journaling. And whether you write it down or you just think about it in the moment, or I know some people that's the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning is they think about 3 things they're grateful for before they even get out of bed. So it's finding, what works for you. I've talked before about my process. When I get up in the morning, I go in our spare room and I do my meditation, and then I do my devotional, and then I do my journaling. And the first thing I journal about are what are my gratitude. And sometimes it's a list of 5 or 6 things. Sometimes it might be only 2 or 3, whatever comes to mind in the moment. But when you're feeling stressed, it's stopping and just thinking about just do it. Just stop what you're doing. You could take that deep breath. And what are 3 things that you're grateful for in that moment? So gratitude, and it just puts you in a different frame of mind. And I'll share with you that I was chatting with one of my clients this week, and we were talking about a variety of things. And she shared with me a phrase that her husband says to her a lot. And I resonated with it and I really liked it. And so I wanted to share it with you, but it goes towards the gratitude. And it's like when you're feeling irritated or just cranky about something, and he'll tell her, find the good. And if it's about somebody else, maybe somebody else cut you off in traffic, or they took the parking space you were waiting for, or they cut in front of you in line, or whatever the case may be. We don't know what other people are going through. And so we have a tendency to make it all about us. And maybe they may not have even realized, and trust me, I've done it too, but they may not have even realized that they had done that. And so you might be upset and irritated. So his comment that he says to her a lot is, find the good and out nice them. And sometimes that can be hard to do because you're just so in the moment upset. But I really, really like that. So find the good and out nice them. And so that's where that gratitude can come in. The third mindfulness technique, and I really like this one too. I like them all, but it's the 5 senses exercise. So when you feel stressed, regardless, and here again, you can do this anywhere, whether you're driving, you're out shopping, you're at a restaurant, whatever the case may be, you're just in your home, is the 5 senses exercise. And it's 5 things you can see that you're great, just 5 things you can see. It changes your state, changes your frame of mind. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And if you do that, it helps change the whole frame of mind that you're in. And it's, if you've been in the coaching realm at all, may have heard the term changing state. So that 5 senses, finding those things, it changes your state. So it changes, if you're doing those things, you can't be upset anymore because you're doing something else. You're changing your state from an upset mindset to something else. And the 4th item, mindfulness, to share is mindful eating. And we talked already about, all the holiday food that's out there. I I don't have that temptation this year because I'm not working in corporate. And so I used to do a lot of baking. And when my family was still around, I made homemade cookies and pies and all that. And I still love to do that, but there's no place to take it. There's no place to give it to. My husband doesn't eat any of it, and I certainly don't need to eat all of it. So I just don't, I'm not making any of it this year. But I used to make it and take it to work, and people were bringing things in all the time, and it just, give it to me all because I have no self control when it comes to that. But mindful eating, and what that is, it's slowing down. One of the techniques that I learned in my coaching program was a 20-minute meal. And that's, you can actually even set a timer and take 20 minutes to eat your meal. If you ever stop and think, and I think about it all the time, if you stop and think like how quickly we have a tendency to eat. And I really think that's something more prevalent in the US than it is probably in other countries, but we just have a tendency to eat so fast. And I remember talking with my dad, and because he tended to eat fast, and he said that he grew up in a family with there was 8 of them. He said if you didn't eat fast, you didn't get any. So because if you wanted seconds, you had to hurry up. But we need to slow down. So taking our time, chew your food, chew it 20 times, count it, and spread it out. Set a timer to make sure you don't finish before 20 minutes is up. But slowing down. Noticing the taste. Are you really tasting what you're eating? Embracing the smell, really taking note of the smell. All of the sensation, again, the 5 senses can come into play here too. So which of these mindfulness techniques are you excited to try this holiday? So to summarize, and I've given you a lot of information, self-compassion is your holiday gift to yourself. Recognize and respond to holiday stressors with kindness, recognizing what are those stressors that you have. And I gave you several examples. You may have others. Feel free to put those in the comments, but recognize and then respond with kindness. And then mindfulness can transform your holiday experience, and taking one of those, just one, or maybe you have another one you like, but take one of those mindfulness tips that I gave you and apply it, and it can totally transform your experience. So my ask of you today is to commit to one act of self-compassion each day leading up to the holiday. And I will share with you, I've created an Advent calendar, and I had advertised it out there. If you don't have it, just say you want, just put Advent in the column, in the comments, and I'll make sure you get the link. Don't subscribe to it if you feel like it's just going to add more stress. Oh my gosh, that's one more thing I have to, do every day. I'm not trying to do that. It's just a tool. If you feel like you need some added inspiration, what it is, basically, it's digital. It's a digital advent calendar that you just click on the door. It's already been, we're on day 6, but every day it's something different. And it's to help with the holidays for self-discovery and holiday cheer. And so like today's was enjoy nature, hopefully, unless you're someplace where, maybe it's too cold or snowing or whatever, but even if it's go out for a 5-minute walk or just walk outside your door, just enjoy nature. So every day there's a small task for you to do. And so if that's something that you think would be helpful for you as you want to help you embrace the self-compassion for the holidays and get some holiday cheer, just put Advent in the comments. I'll be happy to get you that link. I would encourage you to share your journey here in the group, whether it's in the Get on Camera group, whether it's in my Journey to Self-Discovery group, or even on your own personal page. You never know who you might encourage to help them on their journey. So I would encourage you to share what's going on with you and to share what you're learning. I will respond to the comments after. It's hard to kind of go back and forth and put those comments up there, and to respond as I go. But I promise I will go back and do that. So When we started this live, I reminded you about the importance of self-compassion, and I just want to encourage you to. I shared a quote at the beginning that, and keep it in mind that an act of self-compassion each day keeps the holiday blues away. So remember that feeling overwhelmed during the holidays is common. Everybody feels it, but how we respond, and one of the things that I used to say all the time when I worked for years in human resources is the only thing we can control is our response to things. So feeling overwhelmed is common, but how we respond to those feelings can transform our entire experience. So let's embrace self-compassion as our holiday gift to ourselves. I wish each of you a fabulous holiday season, whether you're celebrating Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you celebrate, or don't celebrate anything at all. I wish you a happy, loving season. And remember, be kind to yourself.